According to officials, Russian strikes hit a Kyiv apartment block and killed 13. According to officials, a barrage of Russian drones and missiles that struck several districts of Kyiv and destroyed an apartment building overnight has resulted in the deaths of 13 people and the injuries of more than 130 others. More than 24 locations in the capital of Ukraine were affected, and among the dead were a 6-year-old boy and his mother. According to Mayor Vitaly Klitschko, 12 children were among the wounded, the most in a single night in Kyiv since the full-scale war began. Russian attacks have continued despite U.S. President Donald Trump's threat to impose tougher sanctions on Moscow if Vladimir Putin does not agree to a ceasefire by August 8. Russia and Ukraine must negotiate a lasting peace and ceasefire. John Kelly, the acting U.S. representative at the United Nations, told the UN Security Council on Thursday that it is time to make a deal. President Trump has made clear this must be done by August 8. Over the city, Russian drones' high-pitched hum could be heard for hours, occasionally interrupted by the thunderous clap of a missile strike. Russia launched 309 drones and 8 cruise missiles during the night, according to Ukraine's Air Force. And although officials say air defenses did manage to destroy many of them, there were numerous hits including from cruise missiles. A red-orange glow indicated destruction on the ground. These were the biggest airstrikes since Trump brought forward an earlier deadline to Putin. The threat of more U.S. sanctions appears to have done little to persuade the Russian president to change course. In the meantime, Russia declared that it had captured the strategically important hilltop town of Chasiv Yar in the eastern Donetsk region, claiming further battlefield victory. However, military analysts stated that fighting was continuing in Ukraine, which denied its fall. The residential apartment block was the location of 3 fatalities in Kyiv. A complete entrance was damaged. Rescuers are clearing the rubble, said Ukraine's Interior Minister Ihor Klimenko. The death toll climbed during the day, and by early evening the Interior Ministry said 13 people had lost their lives. The Kyiv mayor said that 30 people were still in the hospital by the middle of the afternoon, and that 12 of the 135 wounded were children. President Volodymyr Zelensky said the capital was the focus of Russia's overnight attacks. Russia's response to our, America's, and Europe's desire for peace has once more been seen by the world. More demonstrative murder, he said on social media. This is why it is impossible to have peace without strength. Kyiv's Svyatoshinsky and Solomyansky districts were hit hardest in the attack, where 1 person was killed and 20 more were injured, according to Interior Minister Ihor Klimenko. The windows of a hospital ward for children in Shevchenkivsky district were blown out by a shockwave, Kyiv's mayor said on Telegram. A kindergarten, a school, and one of the city's higher education institutions were also damaged. Foreign Minister Andriy Sybiha said it was a horrible morning in Kyiv, and that there are still people under the rubble. Sybiha went on to say that while Trump had been very generous and patient with Putin, it was now time to use sanctions to put maximum pressure on Moscow. Trump gave the Kremlin 50 days to reach a truce with Kyiv or face financial penalties earlier in July. During a visit to the United Kingdom on Monday, Trump slashed that deadline to 10 or 12 days to express his disapproval of Putin's actions in Ukraine, more than 3 years after Moscow launched its full-scale invasion. Trump didn't say whether he felt the Russian president had been lying to him, but he said there was a discrepancy between Putin's rhetoric during their one-on-one conversations and the missiles lobbed on Ukrainian cities. We were going to have a ceasefire and maybe peace, and all of a sudden you have missiles flying into Kyiv and other places, Trump said. Meanwhile, on the front line in eastern Ukraine, Kyiv denied Russian claims that the town of Chasiv Yar had finally fallen, after a battle for it that began in April last year. After 16 months of fighting, little is left of Chasiv Yar, but military officials told Ukrainian reports that the Russians were spreading false information. According to the open-source intelligence project Deep State, the Russians had taken control of the eastern and northern regions of Chasiv Yar, but fighting continued in other areas.